All right, so we are up to 6-5 with our locks and live stream parlay sitting at 500. So let's see what we can get into tonight. Let's just get to work. Let's pull up the slate. Let's start going through these games. Let me go ahead and get rid of a couple of these things that I don't need to mess up our parlay. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Yeah. Cool. All right, let's get after it. Wednesdays are usually a pretty good slate. Not quite as good as Tuesday. Tuesday is like loaded. Tuesdays are good. Gonzaga currently playing. Wow, Gonzaga's currently up 54-29. They're beating Loyola Marymount by a mile. I was gonna bet on them too. Should have bet on them. First game, UNC Greensboro at VMI, 18.5-point spread with the road team in a conference that I just don't care about. I'd lean laying the big number with the road team. They're probably favored for a reason. I'm not going to bet it. Alabama, Georgia. Alabama's come to life. They got back in the top 25. They're ranked 24 right now. Good team. I bet on them to beat Auburn the other night in the upset. That was a premium pick for members. Here at Georgia, just feels like a letdown spot. I'd lean Georgia in the points, but this is nowhere near a lock. We are not going to add this to the locks. Northwestern, Purdue, I'm tempted to lock this. 12.5 is a big number, but Northwestern's a home team. I like them at home. I like Northwestern at home. I'm not hating on the school, but at Purdue, boy, do we lock up Purdue? It seems just too casual. Too casual, too public. Can't do it. I'm gonna say Purdue covers 12.5, but too big of a number. At home, maybe they sleepwalk their way to like an 8-point win. Kind of let their guard down in the last 5 minutes or something. Maybe the lead goes from like 15 down to 10. I just don't want to mess with the spread. Purdue's gonna win the game though. Notre Dame, Virginia. I think Virginia's a lock and a half, even at 12.5. I think their defense at home is significant. I think Notre Dame's going to struggle big time here. Notre Dame is not a good team. At Virginia, is Virginia coming off a loss? Let me look it up. What was UVA's last game? It wasn't that. Oh, a road game against Louisville, who stinks. They only beat him by, they beat him by 17. Yeah, so Virginia's kind of rocking and rolling. I love their defense at home. But man, defensive team, I don't love laying 12.5. 12.5. Virginia by 12.5. Seems a bit steep. I like Virginia against good opponents with a small spread. I like it when Virginia's favored like 2 points at home. They just get the job done. 12.5 against a team that they might not bring their A game against. Again, same as Purdue. Home team, they're going to win. Did they want to cover the number, or are they just going to kind of waltz their way to a 8 to 10 point win here and Notre Dame covers by the skin of their teeth? I'm not sure. I'm going to lean Virginia. I'm going to still no locks. Next game, Baylor UCF. Boy, Baylor's kind of messing around lately. Let's look at the last 5 out of Baylor. At home, they couldn't even muster up the courage to get past TCU. Lost in what? Triple overtime? Tight game at Texas. Couldn't get the job done. On the road against Kansas State, a place where we just saw Oklahoma win by 20. Couldn't get the job done. Got by Cincinnati at home, but barely. I don't know, guys. I think Baylor's overrated. I've watched them a couple times. UCF, man. UCF comes to play at home. I feel like the whole world's going to be on Baylor here. I hate betting against Baylor off of a tough home loss, but that's kind of deflating. If Baylor pulled out that overtime win over TCU and they won it, I would like UCF a lot better here. Coming off a loss, I don't want to bet against Baylor with their A game, but I think UCF wins the game outright. I think this is an upset. I think Central Florida beats Baylor. I can't bet it. I can't bet against Baylor off of a loss. Scott Drew, too good of a coach. Baylor's a decent team. I don't want them off a loss. I just can't do it. UCF is going to win the game. They're going to upset Baylor. I just can't put my money on this one. I can't quite get there. If Baylor was off a win, I'd be there. I can't do it. Not off a loss. Next game. Wake Forest, Pittsburgh. 7 o'clock game. It's a pick 'em. I mean, this is a no-brainer, isn't it? Pitt at home. They got to get the job done. Pitt's a solid team. Wake Forest is solid too, but on the road. But why is it a pick 'em? Why isn't Pittsburgh favored 3.5? Again, I want to bet Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh wins. You can just take them on the money line. I can't bet this. I can't bet on Pitt. I can't do it. Wake is decent. If it's coming down to a final second shot, I just don't want to be on the wrong side of something like that. I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant moving forward. Some days I bet with volume, just hoping to hit 55 or 60% of my bets. I think I'm going to start sniping again. A little less volume, a little bit more game breakdown before I go with something. You just got to be aware of these situations. Man, I really want to lock up Central Florida over Baylor. I'm not going to do it. Keep scrolling. Next game, guys, Wichita State at Tulsa. I think we got to lean Tulsa here. Wichita State's just not good this year. They just don't have it. Used to have it. Good program. Good teams in the past. Always were one of those sneaky tournament teams. They always seem to be a 12 seed. Always seem to upset a number 5 in the first round. Not this year. Bad team. I'm leaning Tulsa. Money line's -126. I wouldn't mess with the 1.5. Next game, Cincinnati at West Virginia. Boy, I want to take West Virginia on the money line. Morgantown is just a different place. I spent 4.5 years there. West Virginia is off a tough loss at Oklahoma State. They're better at home. They beat Texas and they beat Kansas at home. They beat Texas and Kansas. 2 of the better teams, in my opinion, in the Big 12, despite the current standings. They're catching 4.5 against Cincy. I know they just lost to Oklahoma State, but West Virginia is atrocious on the road. I mean, bad. Really, really, really bad. Cincinnati, they were struggling too, but they finally got into the win column. What was that last game they pulled out? I watched the whole thing. UCF. So they got by UCF at home. It took a heroic second half effort, though. 39-27. They were down 12 at home to UCF. Won the second half 41-18. Pretty good defense here. West Virginia, they can struggle too, but they're going to play inspired defense as well. I think I like the under. 144.5. That seems a bit high. 72 per team? This is a 63-60 type game. I don't see it getting to 144.5. West Virginia. Let me look at the home splits for West Virginia because Roquan Battle, they have some guys that can come alive offensively. They only scored 66 against Oklahoma State. They only scored 59 against UCF. But they exploded on Kansas at home and dropped 91. They exploded on Texas at home and dropped 76. What do we do? It dropped 91 at home over Toledo. So we can't bet a total because West Virginia clearly is just erratic. Cincinnati, man. Cincinnati -4.5. It feels like too many points. Are we going to lock up the Mountaineers? Is that going to be the first lock of the night? West Virginia catching 4.5 at home. I can't do it. I think Cincy's too physical. I worry about the rebounding here for the Mountaineers. I really do. Cincy hung tough on the road against Kansas. 4.5, man. 4.5 seems crazy though. Cincinnati on the road favored 4.5 over West Virginia. That sounds criminal. That should be a felony. The bookmakers who made that line should be in jail. Maybe it's justified. I'm gonna have to pass. West Virginia or pass. Got to go with the home teams in the Big 12 as best you can. And there are crazy upsets. Tonight we saw two of them. Oklahoma on the road took care of Kansas State, and I think there was one other. Or no, it was Marquette over Villanova. But home teams, got to stick to them the best we can. Mountaineers catching 4.5. Seems like too many points to me. I can't bet them. They stink. Both teams stink. I'm not betting that game. Next game, what do we got here? 7:30, 8 o'clock. We got Florida going to Kentucky. Spreads 5.5. That line just feels too light to me. 5.5. It feels too short. Kentucky minus 5.5. That feels too short to me. Aren't they off 2 losses? Or was it the one loss to South Carolina and then they got right in between this past Saturday? Yeah. They took care of Arkansas on the road. Their last home game, they dropped 105 over Georgia. They dropped 90 on Mississippi State. Mississippi State's a good team. They beat them by 13. They beat a good Missouri team by 13 as well, dropped 90. Here's the scoring for Kentucky. 63 and 62 in their last 2 games, a downtrend. But prior to that, 105, 90, 92, 90, 87, 96, 95. They dropped 87 on UNC. Is it 2 bad games to where now we have value on Kentucky game on the Kentucky line? I think that might be the case. It's going to be an awfully public bet, though. It's going to be super public. There's going to be a lot of people betting Kentucky. They're the ranked team. I hate that. That's almost enough for me to just stay off it. The fact that everybody's going to be nuking them. But that's just the right side, my opinion. They've had 2 down games. Florida, pretty good squad, but 5.5 feels too short. I think Kentucky's offense gets back in a gear, and they probably get into the upper 80s in this game. The total sits at 171. 171. Wow. It's about 85 per team. Is Florida going to be able to keep pace here? A total at 171 tells me Kentucky's going to cover because Kentucky's going to drop 90. Spreads 5, and it's just too tight. I can't do it. I can't do it. I strongly lean Kentucky to cover 5.5. It's too public. They're the ranked team. I can't do it. I just can't. I'm just not going to do it. You just can't. I refuse to take big public sides. I refuse the best I can to take road teams in college basketball. You just cannot be doing this stuff regularly. I'm going to pass. I can't get there. Providence, UConn is tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern time. The spread is 12.5. I think this is an awesome spot to bet. Let me double check one thing for Providence. Providence basketball. They are coming off an emotional win, a home game against Georgetown. Georgetown team that's coached by the guy who left their program. So they're gonna take care of Georgetown, beat Ed Cooley at home, have a big emotional game, and then they're gonna have to go on the road to UConn. I don't think emotionally they can get up for this game. But here we go again. Big ranked team, heavily bet on. Everyone's gonna be slamming UConn here. Does Providence have enough to hang with UConn and keep it within 12.5? Is Hopkins totally out for Providence? Let me double check because that's big. Klingon's going to have a day for UConn if Hopkins is not in there. So against Georgetown, no, yeah, they still don't have him. They have a Duro in there. He's good. I think Carter's going to struggle to score against this UConn. Do we lock this up? This is just such a huge public play, but it's got to be the right side. UConn is going to kill these guys, no? 12.5. That's not enough for Providence. Coming off that Ed Cooley game, this is situational basketball. UConn's playing good. They destroyed Xavier on their home court on Sunday. I think they play in similar fashion here. I think they're playing for that number 1 overall seed. I really do. I think they take care of business. I like laying the 12.5 here with UConn. I strongly lean UConn. I can't lock it up because it's too public, but I really like UConn. Arkansas goes to Missouri. I think we got to bet Missouri here. Arkansas stinks. Arkansas is god awful. Now, if we bet against them, is it going to be the one night they show up? Probably not. They're horrible. What was their last game? A home game against Kentucky. Lost by 6. Good fight, but 57 points, 51 points. Scored 64 at home against South Carolina. They stink. They stink. They're not good on the road. I'm looking at these road splits. Beat Duke at home. I don't know. The talent's there. The roster's decent. 5.5. Is Missouri getting too much credit? Is it going to be another Arkansas fight but lose type game? They hang in there. They give it their all, but they still come up short. Another loss for Arkansas, but a cover. I like Missouri to win the game. I like Missouri to cover. I just can't lock this one up. There's like no locks tomorrow. I got a bunch of leans here, but man, nothing where I'm like, bam, smoke it. 3 units. None of that type stuff. Penn State at Rutgers. I'll lean the home team. Rutgers, really no opinion on that one. Vanderbilt at Auburn. 18.5 seems like an awfully big line, but Auburn is in a bounce back spot. I believe they've lost their last 2 games here. They're going to be chomping at the bit to put it on someone, and they've certainly had some blowouts at home. They can cover 18.5. It's just up to them. Like, do they want to? If they're up 20 with 5 minutes left, do they really want to fight to maintain a 20-point lead, or are they just going to kind of let it slip back to 15, just win by 15 comfortably with a Vandy cover? I can't do it. I can't bet Auburn here. I like them to cover. I can't bet it. Boise State at New Mexico. New Mexico covered the other night when we locked them up. Are we going to go back to the well? I'm tempted. 9.5 against Boise State. Line seems a little bit too big. I think we're approaching a sell high spot on New Mexico. Can't get there. Can't quite get there. Santa Clara at St. Mary's. 12.5. Just another in-betweener. St. Mary's will take care of business. They'll get the job done on their home court. Covering 12.5 against Santa Clara. I'm not sure. I think so, but I'm not sure. No locks tonight. None. And this is a pretty good slate. We got UConn at home. We got some good teams at home. We got Auburn in a bounce back spot. Kentucky's at home. None of these I'm willing to lock, but we will still do our live stream parlay. So let's edit that and let's build our parlay. See if we can get our parlays up to 3 and 2. So let me scroll back through. What are we going to go with here? Live stream parlay for Wednesday. Live stream parlay for Wednesday. I think we go Purdue at home on the money line. Virginia at home on the money line. What else? What else? What else? Kentucky at home over Florida. Favored 5.5. I like Kentucky to find a way to win. And UConn? Providence ain't beating UConn. Not off that Georgetown game. Those 4 together comes out to minus 117. That's what we're going to rock with. So Purdue, money line. Let me add these in. Purdue, Virginia, Kentucky, and UConn, right? Yep. UConn at home. Money line. 4 money lines together comes out to minus 117. Let me go ahead and put it on the screen for you guys. This is currently on FanDuel. Odds currently on FanDuel. Live stream parlay for Wednesday. A 4-team money line parlay. Not something I would suggest in college basketball. But tomorrow there's not like 2 games that I want to put together. There's a lot of iffy ones. But there's a lot of spots like these right here where, I'm not totally sold on the spread, but man, I really would be surprised if one of those teams lost at home. It's 4 home teams. The riskiest leg is Kentucky. The riskiest leg in this parlay is Kentucky. UVA at home, that defense over Notre Dame, lock. They're going to win. Money line hits. Purdue at home over a Northwestern team that's good at home, bad on the road. Give me Purdue. They'll find a way somehow, even if it's competitive. Same with UConn. Providence off of an emotional game. Maybe they have a little fight to them, but UConn's winning at home. And Kentucky. Is Florida really going to beat number 10 Kentucky on the road? Maybe. That's the riskiest leg of this parlay. They're a 5.5 point favorite at home. But minus 117. I like that, guys. Hopefully that gets us to 3-2 on the parlays. We're still above 500, sitting at 6-5 on our locks. Couldn't find any tonight. But that's sports. But you can't force this stuff. Not college basketball. Let the opportunities come to you. Save your money for another day. And I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys drop a like on the stream before you exit out of the video. And I'll see you tomorrow night.